Rocky, you've done it again. Jojolion is insane. I finished it a month or two ago. I think this is top three Rocky, top two writing. I think it's one of the weirdest and the most outlandish, but you learn to love it and it does become peak. This part is set in the town of Morio after a steel ball run race in that universe. And it starts out with a crazy mystery. A dude was buried underground. He wakes up, no memories. He's butt naked and he has four balls. Welcome to Jojolion. The weirdest JoJo part, in my opinion, but debatable top three Araki. The main character's name is Josuke. This name is given to him, and then he gets invited to join the Higashikata family. The main theme of this part is identity. Like, who is this man? Why does he have no memory? The mystery hooks you in from the beginning. His identity, his past is gone. He goes back and forth, trying to regain his memory, trying to find his identity. Then the mystery kind of picks up as you read along. Like, who is this Josuke guy? Why are we following him? Why is he on the ground? Why does he have four balls? Crazy. Why his memories are gone. In the first, I want to say third to half of the manga, you start to unravel new things about his identity. And it kind of reeled me in because I want to figure out just as much as he does. They introduced something called the Loka Kaka fruit. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it kind of reminds me of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It is a miraculous fruit that heals anyone. You could heal their injuries or illnesses, but it uses the art of equivalent exchange. That means it messes up another part of your body, like eyesight, a limb, or it makes one of your body parts like distorted and ugly. And this is a spoiler review, but if you haven't read it, stop here and read it because it is peak. I'm going to talk about it, how I felt. So, anyways, the Loka Kaka fruit is a crazy mystery. And then they introduced this new type of fruit, a new upgraded version. And this one can take a life or transfer the illness onto another person. It was created from the main character experimenting. And this kind of brings up the question of morality. Is it worth taking this fruit? You get to get rid of your illness. You could get your life back, someone else's life back, by the cost of someone else's. These types of questions were brought up in Full Metal Alchemist, one of my favorite animes of all time. So seeing those parallels between JoJo's and Full Metal Alchemist was actually insane to read and was such a delight. If you lost someone you cared about or you fuck with that person, would you use this fruit to get them back but at a cost of someone else's? That's the type of questions that Araki's asking or brings up in this part. It's I think this is debatably the best writing, kind of close to Steel Ball Run in my opinion. But I still think Steel Ball Run has better writing. But this one's a very close second, which is crazy because, Araki's been good since Diamond's Unbreakable, right? And he's just doing banger after banger after banger. And then you reach Steel Ball Run, which is, the peak, his magnum opus. And he comes up with something just as good, if anything, close to it. Some people like this one better than Steel Ball Run. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked, but another mystery element is the rock humans. They're like non-humans, but they look like humans. They remain dormant as rocks, they turn into a rock, and then they stay like that for an extended amount of time. Kind of like hibernation, I would say. But they try to fit in society as a rock human. And they have ties with the Loka Kaka fruit. They have this group, they really want to sell it for mad profit. People, it's this rich people out there desperate, pass on this illness or get someone back that they love, right? And these rock humans being hidden within society has horror elements and mystery elements. Imagine in society today, we have people who are not human, but we cannot tell that they are among us, like ghosts. Or if there was rock humans, how do we know they're rock humans, bro? That was a scary thought that I had reading this. They blend in so well. And the last element of mystery is the villain. I'll cycle back to him at the end. He doesn't even show up till the end. We're just wondering who's the bad guy, who's the main head. Just so many elements of mystery in this. And just a better version of Diamond is Unbreakable personally. Another main point I would like to say about this manga is the creativity of the stands. I feel like Araki kind of stayed away from physically dominant stands in this part. I feel like he kind of went a more creative route, you know? Like we got Blue Hawaii. It spreads like an infection. And then these targets become mindless pursuers of the victim. We got Brainstorm. Releases a flesh-eating viral organism. And then Fun. Controls a target's body like a puppet. I Am a Rock. Tracks nearby objects like a magnetic force. Ozone Baby creates air pressure zones that intensify the closer you get. And also the designs of all these like stands were, you know, like crazy to me and fashionable and different and creative. Let me dive into the main cast or the more important stands that caught my eye. So we have King Nothing, the dad, right? The head of the family. It tracks sense and memories by reconstructing like a puzzle piece. Like, bro, like that shit's creative to me. And all those fights were crazy to me. You got Love Deluxe, one of my favorite designs. And this gives full control of someone's hair. And it could be used as a weapon or a tool. We got Nut King Call, one of the most paused stands of all time. Like, who wants to be a Nut King, but whatever. So this one attaches screws to someone's body. You could disassemble and reattach whenever he wanted. This is Joshu's stand. We got one of the goats, Jobin. He has Speed King, and he could store and release heat energy, causing delayed burns or explosions. And one of my favorite duos, we got Josuke stand, we got Yasuo stand. Yasuo has Paisley Park. It's a guidance stand that navigates. It's kind of like a GPS per se. I feel like it has some metaphors to, you know, fate, circling back to like Giorno Giovanna and Golden Wind. I think Paisley Park has one of the best designed stands. And the main protagonist, we got Soft and Wet, banger of a song. Listen to it by Prince. Very good. When you first get introduced to the protagonist, he creates bubbles and instills properties like friction, sound. When I was first introduced to this, I was like, bro, that shit some weak shit, you know, but you gotta shout out Araki. You gotta be creative. He used this effect, this ability to its highest potential, and it honestly became one of the most broken stands. It probably is a top 5 stand of all time. Debatable 1 or 2, I'm not too sure. I'm not a power scaler, you know, but I think it's one of the strongest stands ever, especially when it becomes Go Beyond. Soft and Wet Go Beyond. I think it's the most broken and powerful ability. Soft and Wet Go Beyond is a combination of, spoiler alert, Josefumi Kujo's stand and Yoshikage Kira's stand. It creates an invisible, non-existent explosive bubbles spinning at infinite speed that bypass logic, defense, and calamity, allowing them to erase targets instantly. Like, bro, like, honestly, I'm gonna introduce the antagonist stand next, but this ability is the only way you could probably defeat the villain, bro. Like, he had to create something crazy, to something so broken, so crazy, to beat the antagonist. And last but not least, for the stands, we got Wonder of You, which causes calamity. Anyone pursuing this stand, which has a mind of his own, by the way, is struck by unavoidable, escalating misfortune or calamity. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger the more you chase it, and eventually you'll die. I feel like overall in Jojolion, the stands are less about raw power, more about weird rule-based abilities. They have conditions. They're like, in a sense, they're kind of like puzzles, like chess or something, you know, or curses. Like, in these fights, they're more about how to figure out this ability and how to stop it. Not really overpowering, you know, like just being the strongest dude in a fight, you know? And my favorite thing about this part is the characters. You know, I feel like the cast is debatably, you know, pretty good, but I think the strong characters in this really carry, you know. Like, I think Josuke is a top 3 protagonist for me, you know, probably after Joseph, and then probably Josuke and then Jolene, right? I feel like Josuke had a lot of character development, a lot of mystery behind him. Like, you literally find out he's a fusion, 2 people, Josefumi and Yoshikage Kira. The backstory was really sad, and I'm like, that's crazy, bro. Like, all that shit happened, you know. And his fit go crazy, no cap. Like, I'm not into like the sailor fits, you know, or whatever, but it was cool. And then his personality definitely different than most, I think. And I feel like he's a stark contrast to Diamonds Unbreakable Josuke. And his stand, is so simple yet amazing. I think he's just one of my favorites. And then we got Yasuo, she's everyone's favorite. Pretty good stand, she's like a support character, a really good one. And I kind of shipped them. She's been helpful in a day one, since the start. One of my most underrated characters. I think her name is Kei Kei Nijimura. She's the daughter of Holly Joestar. She's Yoshikage Kira's younger sister, and she has the stand Born This Way, which is an autonomous stand that chases you if you open anything, like a door, fridge, whatever, right? Which is a cool stand, by the way. I have two small negatives when it came to reading this. I kind of didn't like Joshu, You guys might like him, but I thought he was kind of self-centered and such a weirdo. Look at his hair. I'm going to put a pic right here. Ugly as fuck. I don't know. I kind of hated him. He kind of reminded me of Shigechi, but actually spoiled. Shigechi in Diamonds Unbreakable was annoying, was a bitch. Did he deserve to die? No. But Joshu was low-key a bitch, and he's a grown-ass man, right? He always craved attention and validation, super obsessed with Yasuo. It was kind of creepy, honestly. I kind of see him as like comic relief, but honestly, not that great of a character. Comment below, like maybe that's the point of him, but I don't know. I kind of just like despise every time he was on the screen or in the manga panels. And another negative, I think the next negative is gonna be a small negative, not really too dramatic, but a lot of people online discredit the villain, right? Like personally, I think Toru coming in super late. I want to say chapter 80, and there are 110 chapters of Jojolion, so you only really get like 30 or so chapters with him, and he came out as a surprise, and they didn't even mention him. They mentioned the doctor kinda, but at least in the anime for Diamonds Unbreakable, Kira had hints of here and there, you know what I mean? So, you kind of look forward to seeing the villain. But in Jojolion, I feel like we're so focused on the story, on the fruit, the rock humans, that we don't even care about the villain. I was deadass reading, and I was like, bro, it's like almost done, and not a word from the villain. It just said, oh, there's a doctor or whatever. You know what I mean? And then we get the reveal. It's the stand, which is amazing, by the way. I think Wonder Review is a top 5 stand of all time. Easily one of the best designs. Crazy concept. But basically, Toru's a rock human. I believe he's the leader of the group that wants to sell the fruit. And his motivation is kind of basic. It's just, he wants to make money. He wants to survive within society. And he's just really calm, observant. And he kind of is the opposite of Josuke in a way. Like, Toru knows his identity, and he's isolated, selfish. He uses the fruit for his own benefit, even if the outcome of someone else using the fruit is really bad for them. As long as he gets paid, that's all that matters. It's all about the bands, all about the check, you know what I mean? He sees humans as like beneath him and expendable, and kind of just like a profit, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a metaphor of how rich people see the poor people, like, oh, capitalism and shit, you know what I mean? Like, seeing the villains like ideals of him just wanting money. You don't give a fuck about nobody. Just kind of opened my eyes in society. Like a lot of people do not care about, strangers, right? Especially in today's society. Everyone just wants to get their bag and be selfish, you know what I mean? I feel like his stand is not about strength. It's about conceptually being different than any other stand. It's very unique, and Calamity could bring in so many different scenarios. So in that way, the stand itself is bizarre. And I like the fact that even if Taru's off screen, he's still a threat, because Wonder Review is another good song, by the way. But if you chase it, Calamity chases you. But overall, I think Toru is not that developed comparative to previous antagonists. I feel like he's very non-emotional and has a little bit of personality. Like, he does sing that one song, but personally, I don't think he has that much personality. He's just a really strong dude with a really strong stand, you know what I mean? And, him not having that crazy personality that most antagonists before have had, so he doesn't really stand out, right? And it also doesn't help that he doesn't appear until chapter 80 something, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Overall, I think the main cast was pretty solid, but, to me, some characters kind of carried, You got Yasuo, you get Kira's sister, you get the head of the family. I really like Jobin, and Josuke is one of my favorite protagonists in JoJo's. You get bad characters, in my opinion, like Joshu. I think this part has good enough characters that are very lovable, very curious, and you start to care about. And then in this part, the color and the character design was amazing, even though some are really weird and out of pocket and ugly. Here's Joshu. Here's a vitamin C guy, fucking chopped. But I think overall that's the quirk of this part. Araki becomes creative and he makes stands more creative instead of being strong, right? He makes stands more weird instead of relying on strength. The elements of mystery, the elements of identity crisis really hooks you in the beginning. Then you get introduced to the family and you start unraveling this mystery. And the story opens up with the introduction of the rock humans, the fruit. I thought the story was becoming more interesting with time, and slowly Josuke became one of my favorites. I like the idea of him being a blend of two different characters, one being character from previous part, Yoshikage Kira. The whole reveal shocked me, and it truly hit me. The story with the fruits, Holly Joestar, Johnny Joestar backstory was insane. It has blends of multiple stories that are really good. I love Diamond is Unbreakable. A 10 out of 10 part for me. I think part 4 only had a better villain. I love Kira. But this part 8, Jojolion, has better writing, improved storytelling. It has more hints of mystery. In my opinion, more creative stands. And I kind of like this Josuke more than the previous Josuke. I still love the old Josuke though, but this Josuke is top tier. So I think this part is a slightly more improved version. I just wish the villain was introduced earlier or more developed. And Jojolion got me hype. After reading Jojolion, it just really surprised me that Araki could create peak after peak, bro. Like, I thought after Steelball Run, he'd be kind of done. He'd be kind of like, falling off, maybe make a B tier part. But I think Jojolion's A plus tier, maybe even S. I think probably S tier for me. This shit got me excited for JoJo Lands. I know it started in 2022, 30 something chapters. I'm like 5 chapters in, and it's pretty good so far. Very modern JoJo. But I'm gonna try to catch up, give you guys a review on that. I think JoJo's has easily become my favorite anime manga of all time. It's really hard to compete, man. Like, Rocky's special, man. Like, that's my opinions on Jojolion. Let me know if you have any opinions or anything I missed. I really love Jojolion. So if you do love Jojolion too, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Too Big out, man.